All right, guys. Thank you for joining this. I think second to last session. I know it's been a very quite long day. You've been here with us with all the topics that we have actually covered. This is a very exciting journey that we are actually going through. So let me start with the introduction. Uh, Myself, Harender Kumar. I'm with Altudo. I'm the co-founder of Atlantic Canada User Group. I'm a Sitecore enthusiast and avid learner. I have overall like 18 years of experience with different CMS platforms, which includes Cantico, Umbraco, Adobe, STL Tridian, to name a few. These are my some quick links which you can actually reach out to me. I have my co-presenter with me, Gunasekaran. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi guys. Good noon to everyone. This is Gunasekaran. I'm part of Altudo and I have some 15 years experience in development. So far like 8 years I'm working with Sitecore based technology stack. I'm part of Tamil Nadu. My interest is I love to do agriculture work. I do a marathon and I love Sitecore and yeah, over to Harender. He will present and I'll join back. Yeah.
He's the most humble person I've ever seen actually met in my Sitecore community. All right, guys. So let's get started. So topic of this session is basically seamless migration of Sitecore to Sitecore XM Cloud. Uh, and I will start my session with a very bold statement. Once a new technology rolls over you, if you are not part of the steamroller, you are part of the road. How many of you are actually agree to that? All right, all right. Not you? Nope. All right. I think like majority of the people are actually agree to that, right? The reason for this statement mentioning it here, like XM Cloud is here, right? So we cannot actually skip this from this technology. Now there's a like lot of hard work is actually been put into this product. Over like more than 20 years of experience is put in together, and then we are actually coming up with this platform. So we definitely have to basically switch over to this technology and make sure that we are up to it. And if you don't, we will be basically definitely be lagging somewhere. So let's start our journey with Sitecore XM Cloud. You've been actually the part of the whole yesterday also and today also. You've been actually been attending a lot of sessions. You've been actually going through like a lot of XM Cloud terminologies. Since this has become the last session of it, you might have actually seen a lot of slides which you have already gone through. But yeah, we have actually presented this the same way also. So yeah, Sitecore's composable DXP started providing up all the 11 offerings. It is the next generation software as a service CMS platform, which provides the quick development and content management system. It's SaaS-based, cloud-native. It combines the traditional CMS and the headless approach. It offers the composable approach as well, and is flexible to build your own block whenever the business needs. Going through some of the cloud features and Sitecore XM Cloud basically solves a mixture of digital experience challenges that any brand in general can encounter, whether it may be anything, right? It could be a design consistency, whether it's an architecture complexities, if you have an upgrade delays, or you want to have a centralized CMS, or maybe just because of site performance also, right? So it basically try to cater all of your areas that you actually try to cater it. Coming back to some XM Cloud features, you might have actually seen it, or might have actually read through various channels as well. Cloud portal provide headless service. I'm not going in detail. You might have actually know already about this. Our focus is basically towards the migration strategies, not the providing the XM Sitecore feature, which you already knows. So yeah, Sitecore Next.js SDK provides the GraphQL. You have new component, new feature pages, which going to be replacing the experience editor sooner or later. Content Explorer, where you can edit the content. We have the option of reusable content components. Obviously, JSS defaults framework, and the list goes on. Uh, Self-service deployment. You have GitOps, Jamstack ready. Uh, multi-site management, PowerShell extension support, and obviously webhooks to if you wanted to actually trigger any system events. Uh, yeah, so these are the out of the box features that you might be actually using sooner or later when you actually start moving on XM Cloud. Now, when you are actually migration, you're doing any migration of your product, and if you are actually using any of these terminologies, you have to pay some special consideration, and you have to be very well aware of that these components or modules might have actually been either been reused or maybe actually converted into composable feature in somehow. So you have to basically taken care of these products very seriously when you are like how these going to be migrated over from your traditional monolith applications or maybe XMXP to XM Cloud. So whether it's a XP feature or XConnect, XDB, personalization rule features, or any of the modules that you have actually used in the past, which includes experience analytics, FXM, experience optimization, marketing optimization, list manager, if you have used path analysis previously in the past, EXAM, SXA with MVC, obviously, Sitecore forms if you have used, any custom search indexes if you have used in the past, uh, Sitecore publishing services, external domain functionality, any user roles and permission you have edited in the past, IP location, geolocation. So all these attributes, functionality modules have been actually somehow or somewhere is actually been either twisted or basically converted into composable DXP and has to be available to you in some forms or others. Uh, I think Sitecore XM Cloud architecture, we know that is basically how the data is actually being development environment going through push to the Next.js app. Now, the concept is migrating to XM Cloud. The one thing that I wanted to talk about is different clients that actually working on different Sitecore products, whether it's Sitecore XP, XM, or maybe a monolith applications. They have a process of adopting a new product, right? Uh, you can actually ask the questions to yourself and when they're trying to basically migrate over to the new platform. Are they ready for migrating over to the XM Cloud? Not necessarily everybody is ready. Might be possible they have actually invested already too much in the past and they cannot actually move directly and quickly over to the XM Cloud. Similarly, they might have actually used already invested something on the some of the other integrations that might be actually used and required in the implementation. So they cannot actually do quickly migrate over to the XM Cloud. So there is a product adoption process that have to follow. And moreover, like there are like 5 different types of adopters, which are different customer try new products by varying speeds. And for each product, we find consumption pioneers and early adopters. Other consumers adopts new products much later, right? And these consumers pass through basically the 5 different stages like innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. So depending on what stage they are at, they basically start adopting these products. And XM Cloud is also is the same thing, right? Before actually moving on migrating over to XM Cloud, we have to see where exactly they are standing, which stage they are at, so that we can actually provide them the right strategy to them, and they can actually follow that strategy to move over to the XM Cloud. So, I mean, this is looks like very traditional one, the approach. So we basically come up with our own terminologies and what kind of business types we can actually have for these adopters. And I come up with like 3 categories: jammers, majors, and retainers. So jammers are basically the early adopters, or you can say the innovators, and they are basically the risk takers. They already know about the XM Cloud or the Next.js features. They already uh, willing to try the new product at some risk. They adopt the new product early, but carefully. And then we have majors, right? And they basically know the brands are in the non-headless. They basically are in the non-headless sections. They still be using MVC, uh, and they have like slight using some of the XP feature, not fully, maybe a slight bit of personalization, uh, and they are aware of the cloud native application, but they're still not be there where they can actually start using it. And then we have the retainers, like the brands who think that they want you to be up to date and keep behind the run when the time is available. They're still waiting for like their life cycle to be end and support cycle to be end, and then they basically reach out to the site core or the product people to like say like what exactly we can do next. But still, they might have actually invested a lot in their features like EXM and personalization to basically retrieve the audience. So let's talk about the jammers and how we can actually help them to move over to the XM cloud. So since they are the early adopters and they already know the headless structure, so migration for these guys is like very straightforward. You don't have to actually worry about that because they already on some way or later they actually use the cloud native solutions, and they just need the alignment. What exactly the strategy would be, and they are already Jamstack enabled. That's why I've been named it like jammers, and they are like marathon leaders, right? They are the early adopters of the tools, right? They understand the composable and they already shifted their architecture. It's not just 100%, but somewhat composable. So they use the cloud native solution already in their organization, and they need alignment for the composable journey. So if I'm actually looking to their current existing architecture, which might not be XM cloud based, but they'll still be using some sort of composable architecture, right? They have their CDN DAM or their static site host already been composable solution. They already using not necessarily the Versal, but any form of uh, uh, maybe Netlify or Amplify that they are actually using, and they are using. They know basically how to experience cloud actually be using. So for them is moving up to an XM cloud is very straightforward. All they have to do is basically move over from their native implementation to the XM cloud. Next are majors, and they, as I told you, like they keep up to the date the Sitecore XM and XP, and they likely be the non-headless architecture, most probably the MVC, and they do not want to actually have a further managing application. They just want you to basically still want you to have some sort of uh, feature where they can actually have automatic upgrade, and they were definitely looking forward to migrate over to the SaaS platform, even if they are actually still on the .NET applications or maybe on XP or XM. So for them, we have like a 5-step or 4-step approach and migration plan, and how we can actually do that is, so we start with basically moving them first into the XM cloud, and then next we basically build a new design on top of the XM cloud. So they can start using, they can redesign their website on top of the XM cloud. Later on, they can actually launch with the XM cloud and then retire the old implementation. And since they are actually using some sort of personalization, but not fully. So they can still keep local backup of their environment in somewhere, so that they can actually refer that, and then later on they can actually implement the same thing on the personalized. And the last step is basically they can use the personalized implementation onto the directly to the XM cloud. So yeah, if you look into their existing implementation, they have content delivery, they have composable vendor solutions available. They're still using some sort of marketing services and the infrastructure. But what we are suggesting is to just move their current XM or XP platform to XM first, and then we start moving over to the XM cloud. So first one is basically move over to the XM cloud side by side, where they still be running with their current implementation, but they start moving on to the XM cloud as well. And then once they are actually moved over to the XM cloud implementation, they can move over to the experience edge, and later on they can retire. If you look into this implementation, the net, they still use, don't need to move over to the Versal environment, but they can still use the net headless implementation. And then later on, once they are comfortable, they can still have a local copy of all the personalization they have actually used in the past, not discarding completely, and they refer that to start implementing those features into the XM cloud. And once that is done, they can actually retire their old systems, and then they can actually move completely onto to the new environment. Last but not least, we're talking about retainers. These are the older version of the Sitecore, and they might be actually using XM or XP. And this actually been applicable for those clients also which are not using Sitecore and they wanted to move over to Sitecore. So for them also, it could be a combination of the same retainers implementation. And for retainers, they haven't actually invested in their website for quite some time, but they are using the EXM and personalization a lot to retain and basically pull their target audience. The more concerned about their Indian application support, and they're basically looking for end of cycle to and get more support around that. But they still wanted to have a future-proof solutions available. They call the laggards because of the production adoption cycle, and these people are also using different other CMS and custom built websites. So for them, moving them is a 6 steps process that we have suggesting. The idea is to migrate them from XP to XM and then XM to XM Cloud. And we basically wanted to give them an upfront tracking and personalize so that they start tracking those information which they're actually doing in the past and started their journey towards the composable journey and they start making the composable architecture in the existing system. So upfront tracking and personalize, we start using that. And the next step is basically to move them their send and personalize and implementing that, and then move over to the headless architecture, and then move the XM Cloud migration, and then they can actually go live. So if I'm actually looking to their current architecture, it could be like a simple one and it could be more complex, but depending on how they're actually implementing, they still have the content delivery. They are still using, if you look into the site marketing service, they are using EXM, they are using personalize. What we can do then, the step one, we can basically start implementing the personalize and send as a step one, and that will basically start collecting the data so that whenever we basically start moving over to the XM Cloud, they have the data available to them. In the next step, we basically start moving over and move over to the XM Cloud, and that's how we can actually move over the whole journey which they're actually using the monolith. They can start moving over to the XM Cloud. These are the 3 areas that we actually use for moving over from the traditional monolith or even XM or XP to XM Cloud. Now the next step is next phase of this presentation is more about how we can actually do the upgrade and what are the migration roadmap for that. And for that, I would like to ask Guna to take it over.
Thank you, Harender. Hi, all. I'm coming back. So, all right. So you know now what are the 3 different players we have and how we want to migrate things, and what are the different architecture we can follow for the seamless migration. Let's start with where we want to start the things. So discovery, like, so when we start migrating to the XM Cloud project, so what are the things we want to consider, whether it is upgrade or migration, whether it is Sitecore based implementation or the new CMS, any other third party, different CMS, what we want to really consider. So we want to evaluate the customization, what kind of customization they have, like whether it will suitable for XM Cloud to adopt, like integrations, how it is integrated, like it is have a dependency or it is standalone product integration, and what percentage of personalization scope they already used. Is it very deep or is it out of box personalization, and the marketing automations also, like whether it also a integration or a third party, or it's again tightly coupled with the solution we build. So those things, and content obviously. So we have a lot of contents in every site. So what is the content we have, the structure we have, if it is a Sitecore based solution, so what kind of a backend structure we build, and which will adapt by tweaking something very quickly to the headless architecture, or we want to rebuild. So those kind of assessment will help to understand how we can get started with discovering things. Um, so personalization specific assessment. So we know XP XM gives what level of personalization we can do, and whether that is aligning with the customers we have. Like, is it whether they are looking the personalization rules or implementations beyond the 30 days, or they want more customization, or is there any third party integration to collect the data, customer data, or identity solution, whether they are already there or they want to adopt, or is there any pattern cards, and the variations and conditions are, is it beyond 10 or 5, or is it very large variation they have for the personalization and condition also. So these are the some of the assessment we want to do with XM Cloud, because we have some limitation in XM Cloud. So based on that, we can suggest or go for next step. And specifically content migration. So we saw that, like, so there are Sitecore based implementation, customer can move directly to XM Cloud, or non-Sitecore also they will interested to move to the XM Cloud. So what we want to do, like if it is non-Sitecore CMS, so what is our recommendation based on the previous implementation and practical experiences? It is recommended to do a content model and template creation and page design and branch pages we want to design, and then we can move to move the content based on the PowerShell script. So that will go smooth the journey of content migration. If it is a Sitecore based implementation, the base items can be moved to serialization. Environment to environment, we can move through the serialization. The content can be, so it is not like if there is no much change in the background, the field and structure. If there is no much change, the content type, everything is similar, we can move directly. Is it same as like XP and XM Cloud? If it is aligning with the same data type, the structure we follow, it is not majorly changing, not changing with the headless way. So we can go as it is, like that will be very smooth. Else there will be tweaking for the customization if you have done something differently. So these are the way, like, so we can reuse for customize like Sitecore based implementation, but non Sitecore we want to do from the scratch. So that will be a suggestion. So compatible customization, like, so we know that there is no CD server. Instead we have the edge server. When we publish the Sitecore item, it will be aligned with the edge server, and we want to also assess the customized pipeline. Anything is implemented, because of the new architecture with XM Cloud, it will not be compatible to reuse. So we want to think a way to redesign that, and the modules also, if you use any module which will not in a position to get the request and execute that. So those are the things we want to analyze, and either we want to remove or we want to check the alternative which will be compatible with XM Cloud architecture. The suggestion is what we followed also in the projects. We want to implement the headless way. Integration mainly focus in the headless head part, like Next.js or head part. What are the framework we follow? We are going to choose. There we can handle it. Instead, the earlier way of implementation. So that will be a thing. So the framework selection. So this is also one of the things we discussed the morning call with Andy, like, so the Sitecore XM Cloud architect. So we want to be careful to select that whether it is Next.js or .NET. Even the framework of JavaScript, like Next.js, it's maybe a React, Vue, or any other framework or Next.js. Our recommendation is Next.js because the reason is the most of the document contains samples, SDKs. Uh, it is in progress of building using Next.js. Even Psycho search, commerce, and even the personalization engage SDKs are there in Next.js. So using Next.js, we are thinking that it will be a smooth migration journey instead of adopting any like .NET rendering SDK. Also there, we want so if the team who are involved into develop more on .NET based developers, we don't have developers who understand the framework like Next.js or React.js. There we can choose to transit uh, the framework to using the .NET rendering SDK. But generally, going with Next.js will be future proof, and it will be good to adopt upcoming modules and integration, everything. So that will be so additionally, we also identified what are other things we can also assess to smooth migration. Like other than customization, integration, we also want to get the details about the version, and so what we can reuse, leverage the functionality. If suppose there is no dependency, or it is already following composability, and it is in the microservice manner it is built. So what we can reuse when going to XM Cloud, um, like maybe identifying the component, how we can build, or where we can focus on that component building. Like so where we can focus on head level or in the backend level, and even identifying the reusable component. If there is a chance of refactoring, so those plan also we can do in SSPs, and also whether it already using the JSS rendering SDK. So those kind of the things we can do so that we can reuse. We don't want to be do it from scratch. So those things we want to, and based on our implementation, so we did all these integrations in our one of the projects for what we did for one client. So we also assessed and used and implemented these modules like CRM for interactions and analytics, and we used a digital DCR, digital control room, for the cookie compliance. Site search we implemented, and for DAM we used binder integration. It will have some customized coding also involved, um, and we also, there are some marketing tools like Vulture and Ticket, and instead of Sitecore forms, we also used and integrated with XM Cloud Reform, uh, podcast, and email. Also, we did for SendGrid using. And we know XM Cloud by default out of box RSS feed will not work like XP and XM. So
So
we have to,
if you look into this, XM Cloud is all about integrations. We
yeah,
basically try to identify which part of the part we can actually use the other mode, not just limited to side code platforms which are provided by Sidecode Composable. We have to actually look for client availability and where exactly they are actually standing in terms of their product selection. So if you see, like, instead of in the dam we are using binder instead of normal their psycho provided tool. Same for forms, we have to use integrations, right? So we have a tool called reform which are using for integrating the forms, which will be using the embedding URL. Same for map, we have two maps, not one, with future and ticket, and they are basically going to be implemented for two different regions. So like that, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's all about integrations. We have to identify which tools we have to integrate, and that way we actually have to start moving on. Is Sitecore sent?
Send grid.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. You can move.
Yeah, thank you. And
You can move next.
so yeah, so these are some of the integrations. It is working with XM Cloud. Uh, this is the architecture, solution architecture with the integration we followed, um, where we kept in a different layer and with the HTTP request, we will getting the integration for all these products.
So you can see
So
like
we can
Sitecore is just in the middleware where we're basically using for content migration or CMS, but you have the whole landscape fill up of like different integrations.
yep, cool. And moving to next slides. So how to detach like so this is again like the existing solution uh, which follows the tightly coupled architecture, and we want to move to XM Cloud and build a headless architecture and decomposable um, component layer. So what we want to do, so we can move out some business logic as and build a microservice layer and build a pluggable component, and then we can mainly focus the integration in a head application instead of backend or building a customized code using .NET. There we can do, but so maximum we can focus in head application to do that. So it will be easy. Um so if something build already in headless, the rendering, if it is already exists, then we can use it by just converting to headless. So those kind of things we can do from the existing application to detach to make it compatible with XM Cloud. These are the things. So where we will get the rework, like from Sitecore based solution is already implemented. If there is a custom rendering and we are using customized content resolver for anything, like for example, if even URL rewrite, or if we are implementing specific to get the data from Sitecore item level and collecting data to write any reports. Um, those kind of places we already implemented, make there will be a rework. We want to consider uh, assessing that carefully to rewrite, and also there will to delta to get the contents. Also, we want to address. These are places may whether it is existing Sitecore based solution or the non Sitecore based solution. These are the main area we want to focus on rework. Uh, so once this assessment discovery is done, so when we want to start the XM Cloud implementation, so what are the steps we want to follow, where we can kickstart, and is there any foundation uh, code repository we have? Yes, we have this, like we have a XM Cloud Foundation head we have. We can use it to set up our local and use it this as a base solution which Sitecore is providing. And we know there are changes and updates in NuGet. So that also we want to get it updated to avoid any such future errors when we go. Um, so XM Cloud build.json. So there we can do the serialization from content Sitecore from the other environment. We can serialize this. We can also write our own customized uh, serialization file. So it is a build one. Even if you are creating a different layer like feature foundation or whatever customized layer we are creating, if you want to keep it as a separate serialization file, we can keep it. Like even if you want to define all the roles, users to serialize differently, or some content specific, we can keep it all customized serialization file to get it done. uh, yeah and then personalization, we want to plan for reapply whatever is available out of SXM cloud. We want to analyze and leverage to with the new design and implement the CI/CD pipeline. So whatever vessel or whatever product we are planning, so we can do that. Then we'll kickstart for the headless conversion, component creation. Uh, if it is already existing Sitecore based solution, we can reuse the design and component structures, backend information architecture, everything else. If it is non-Sitecore based, we can start from uh, design and identifying the component and designing the information architecture. Based on the component level information architecture, we can build the head application components and then integrate and the push to the virtual level to deployment. So these are the level of assessment architecture and how we can get things started. So we also have some tips and tricks based on our implementation. Maybe this will save a lot of time for uh, one who want to implement the XM based solution, because the practically we faced this, and being this is new, and we have less references for few things when we face errors. So we also will share this. So it is IAR, item as resource. So we know that Sitecore items are now in XM Cloud taken from the file system. Starting from 10.1, it is IAR instead of getting from the database. I just placed where it is exactly taking the from the path. So when we'll deploy this through serialization, like so there may be a chance, like when we create a Sitecore item, it is creating uh, item as a source, and it is getting from the uh, resource instead of database. And when we do updates, frequent updates, changes, um, what will happen during the deployment? It will recreate and update those content up. So if you're putting a and then B, then B will do when we redeploy, it will reserialize and will get the updated content. Sometimes it also will not get updated due to IAR failures. So there should be a reason it will not overwrite when we when the serialization fails. So what we want to do to overcome that, so there are cleanup commands we have which supports CLI. So I just presented
I
this
think
command here.
I think moral of the story is basically don't play with the files which are actually provided by Sitecore out of the box. The image setup which is provided by Sitecore, if you start adding up as a part of the serialization, they actually start showing up conflicts, and we were actually having a lot of issues in resolving that part in our implementation time. So yeah, that's something we want to communicate here. Like, be careful when you are basically using anything with related to the IR files, and be careful what you are actually serializing at the time of when you're committing your code.
Yep. Yeah. So we can use this command, and also I presented one of the Git repository which was created by Jan Blooming, so which will useful to create a report out of it, like what is the uh, overwritten Sitecore resources you have in your solution. You could identify how it is overwritten, what are the items, and you can identify where the serialization is not working, item level. So this will be useful to get the
So
details.
we basically end up basically cleaning up the whole
Yep.
system which we have actually pushed it earlier, and then we basically created the whole thing from scratch because of this issue. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, pay very good attention what you are actually committing in serialization file when you're doing it.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you. And moving to next, this is one of the observation we found during the deployment post-action activity. Uh, XM Cloud is not supporting the special character when we creating item using special character. So, and also the component level if you are using special character as well. So Montreal, so that is a city name from Canada, I think. So
Yes.
there is a special character, right? The E is it is in French. The E is a special character. If you keep item name with a special character, the deployment is to fail. Uh, this actually a bug in XM Cloud. We have a ticket with Sidecore. It will be released soon in the next version. Any language with special character, if it is even if you are using any language specific character, Hindi, Tamil, whatever language you are using, if it has special character, it used to fail. So workaround whatever Sidecore given is like we avoid special character now. The future release will fix that bug. We can free to use after that. So this also we want to keep a special attention. And this is like so we also found difficulty when while creating to create a backup of the master database when support were analyzing few bugs related to serialization, publishing related, and it took some time for us also how we can create master backup from cloud environment or local. So we found there is a option like we have every cloud local environment. We have the Docker data SQL path. We can found the database, and we can convert this into backpack file to send the site code. If they want to deep dive, want to see how the serialization IAR file making changes or overwritten files are there. So those kind of things, they want to deep dive and analyze to understand how we are created. Uh, it will be useful to give to them instead of communicating through explain the issues. This giving the backup will be more helpful to get the answer quickly from the support. So it will be helpful. And and also this is one of the things, setting up the edge endpoint for local. So initially when we set up the local, we thought like publishing will not be supported when we set up a local Docker environment. So it will be only happen in the cloud environment, whether we are creating dev or QA or production. But there are also possibilities we can do that edge connectivity in the local by using this setup in the environment file. You can specify the example screen I added, like we can specify all the client ID and secret and the CDN details, even to publish by connecting any cloud environment as a edge server, so that few it's again troubleshooting tool. So suppose we are facing issues in serialization or publishing, we can recreate that issues in local using this. So this that also will be helpful and save time instead of recreating in the XM Cloud environment. And the other one is like we are like lack of getting the logs when there is an issue happening, either it is head application on the back end We know that XM Cloud, we have deployment log for all the 4 stages, and we also additionally we have CM instance log. So we can get it what is happening or the process of happening in that. And apart from that, especially with the head application, there will not be log in the XM Cloud level. Even in head application, we are missed to handle the null error also. There will be breaking of deployment. Even virtual deployment or XM Cloud deployment will break. You sometime take time to analyze where it really failing. In that case, this is a Docker CM container log. So we can also use this log to troubleshoot and get the details. So this is one of the error which again the special character related. When we miss to see this kind of error in the XM Cloud log, whether is it a CM instance or the deployment log, we can identify when we see in Docker in container level. So this also will save time. Instead of checking here all over, we can directly check here. Even head related, head application related errors will be logged here, and it will be very helpful to identify the mistakes. So I suggest to go over implementing this. And finally, this is learnings, and we faced some issues in the local setup. So we faced some of the memory consumption and slowness. So we want to be careful about the local configuration for this to overcome. And as we discussed already, like log effectiveness to figure out the issues is a little less. So we want to look out for the other options like container level other than the XM Cloud. And experience, because of this memory consumption, we overcome using some customization in the Docker composable override file to extending the CPU and memory for this experience editor issue. So
Quick time check. We are
yep.
already over 5 minutes.
So those kind of things and special character and language embedding. Also, we face some issues. So these are some of the learnings we want to share it. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything. So anything, Harender, you want to cover before opening the floor for questions?
Now we are available on community members, so yeah, you can reach out to us for any questions and clarifications that you want to have. Yeah, I think this is the end. Thank you very much for attending this session.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank you.
sponsors.